Hello, we're back here at the Frontier Investment Conference 2011, and I'm joined here by Alexander, and you have to pronounce your last name.
Lopatnikov.
Lopatnikov. We'd just like to ask you, thank you for joining us. What is the importance of valuing companies, and why is it important for Mongolia to understand the valuation of the various companies? You're specialized in mining, if I'm correct, right?
That's correct. Thank you. That's a great question, and I believe the answer for that is that valuation is at heart of investment decision making. And Mongolia is a new player in the investment market, and it's critically important that Mongolia understands the value of natural resources it possesses, and that equally it understands the logic and rationale of investors. Because if expectations and valuations of investors and Mongolian companies or government would fall too far apart, it's going to be difficult to strike a mutually agreeable and beneficial deal. So basically investment is nothing less but investment in conditions of uncertainty. So you need to make your decisions, and valuations is the basic tool for decision making, the right or supposedly right decision making.
How do you balance this fine balance between the investors and the government on the other hand?
That's the most difficult one, actually. But I believe the disclosure and information, because mining essentially is the domain of uncertainty, and clearly you would never come up to a precise valuation, and there may be people who would believe that value is higher or lower. But the reasons, the inputs, and rationale for valuing should be similar. And if at all this knowledge is going to be shared, I would see it beneficial for both investors and host governments.
Okay, I think one of the keys in valuing mining assets is the projected production, right? How do you assess this? Do you use independent auditors probably? But how do you make sure? Is it more of a science or more of an art?
Yeah, there is a rule of thumb that valuers should not prophesize. We don't have crystal ball, and usually we try to replicate what market participants' view should be. We use a lot of geological data, and obviously geological data is very important for mining valuations. But at the very same time, we have the same difficulty, because at the moment I believe we should try to replicate the vision of market participants, and market participants are confused. So it's a bit of a problem now. But basically we are not providing our own assessment. We rely on geological data, company projections, and market sentiment.
Okay. We just heard from one of the parliament members that they have suspended licenses at the moment for further exploration. But based on your knowledge of the geo studies you mentioned, what do you think is the potential still for Mongolia besides the already known resources?
Well, I think there is huge potential in Mongolia for all known resources, but I would at the same time remind just a bit of comparison or comparative valuations, whereby, for example, the largest mining company, BHP Billiton, lags behind Apple. So Mongolia needs to think beyond natural resources if it really wants to see itself developed.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you for joining us today.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of the conference.